Welcome back to Dolor Factor Live. I'm here with Carmy Joseph and Rob Taylor. And we're talking about musical matters in St Lucia. We've actually spoken about if you'd like to be a musician and a singer, what you can do. And now we want to tackle if you are already one, why aren't you getting the places that you want to get to? I have some emails now, so I'm actually going to go into some of our emails, and also we're going to open the telephone line. So if you have a question for Carmy or for Rob, this is the time to do so. The first one we have is, I love Rob Taylor. Okay, we have your name and we have your details, but I'm not giving it to him. Another question. What inspired Rob the music he wrote with Ken Hardy in his latest album? And is there an association among local artists in St Lucia?
Well, when I wrote, when I was doing my album, I'd written most of the tracks already for the album, and I wanted to, like I have done with some of my songs already, collaborated with different artists, and I have in Jamaica and also here. Ken was just one of the artists I've collaborated with, and you know, I recognize Ken's music. He's got some good songwriting abilities, and I approached him. I knew him, obviously. I've known Ken since he was very small, when I used to play with Mishak with Revolution. So you know, I wanted to give him an opportunity as an up-and-coming artist to kind of work with me and collaborate on some songs. So I collaborated on one of his songs, and he worked with me on some of my songs as well. And you know, again, we put them on the album and tried to do some different things on the album, as well as working with another guy called Dave Nickel from Canada. Just to have a lot of variety, and it gives more dimension to your album, to your songs, when you collaborate as well, whether it's in musical format or it's in written, you know, songwriting format. So that was really the focus behind involving other songwriters on the album as well, just to give the album more dimension as well.
Okay, what about local association in St Lucia?
Again, as Carmy said, it's about being around, you know, the people and the studios that are.
But why isn't there a local? Is that your way of saying no? There isn't a local association.
No, there isn't a local.
Not an established one, but I mean, it's just a known.
It's a loose community.
Hold on a minute.
You know who's in the business. You know who's in the music business, and if you're a good producer or you're a good musician or a songwriter, you're around everybody. Everybody's around, you know, so you know who to call on and say, hey, let's do this. So there's nothing to say. There's no name to it as an association, but there's just an unspoken association.
Well,
if you
I'm
like
slightly peeved here, you know, and I think viewers know me already. When I get to be in my bonnet, I mean, how can you say that we have no association yet we have something like Echo? You know, I know it's a completely different thing, but I want to kind of clarify, what is this thing about royalties? If Echo can come together and look at royalties and so on, why can't the local association or musicians, local musicians, form some form of association that will perhaps better themselves, better their music, and then perhaps be able to work together with an association like Echo? Well,
believe me, we are trying, and it has been tried over the years from lots of different musicians, different generations, if you like. What it's down to, really, at the end of the day, musicians are musicians, and they don't necessarily make good business men, if you like, or women. And that's where the organization and the discipline of professionalism would come in terms of the business side of things.
And there's too much self-interest. The reality is that you're not going to get a lot. If musicians are the ones setting up their own associations, as in the Calypso Association, there is self-interest along with the business. So even if you get a chance to push somebody else, because you're an artist as well, you're more inclined to maybe not push that artist because it might threaten your own position. It's something where I don't think if you are an artist, you can be in charge of the management of something like that, because you're always going to be thinking about my own personal growth and my own personal development. So maybe that's why. But there's a lot of competing interests in St Lucia as well. There are different levels of musicians, there are different kinds of artists, and to get the commonality, which is we all artists together. I mean, look at how long it took to form the Media Association. I mean, look at the Calypso Association. It's there.
Well, someone needs to get as mad as I did, because that's how the Media Association started. Again, on Dolor Factor, I got really upset and said, how can we not have a body like this?
Yeah.
And someone needs to get upset and say, let's do something, do it, and act. But Rob, I want to ask you, in terms of royalties, can you kind of go down to the basics? What is this royalties all about? Oh, we have a call. Let's go to the call, but I'd like that question answered. Welcome to Dolor Factor. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Karma. I just wanted to know where your studio is located.
He called me Karma. Actually, Katie's studio is located in Bois-d'Orange, in Groseville.
Groseville?
Yes, in Bois-d'Orange.
All right, good. Thanks.
Okay.
I guess
So-
he'll be coming by pretty soon.
Yeah, it seems so.
We look forward to seeing
Thank you for your call. So, Ron, royalties.
Royalties, okay. Royalties are basically like an artist's, a writer's pension, if you like. When you write a song and you register a song with a collection agency such as Echo, which is here in St Lucia, you're as a writer of that song, or producer, or publisher of that song. That music then, when it gets airplay or when you perform it live, or if it's used in TV or a movie, there's a license has to be granted for that music to be used. You have to pay the collection agency, the performing rights agency, which is Echo in this case, a license fee for that music to be used. That money then should then be distributed to the writers, producers and publishers of that particular song, and that's how you make your money. So if a song gets worldwide play, you know, you can if you've registered your songs with a collection agency, performing rights agency, that money's supposed to come back around for you. And
But if
you
you're
might
a
have written
musician
that
and
song.
you haven't got any money, how do you pay for that?
It's not a cost point. You don't pay to register your music. You fill in forms.
Yeah, I want to clarify that because I think some musicians out there, they may think, well, I need to have some money to
there
register.
there may be an initial membership fee,
that you have to pay yearly.
but that's usually a lifetime thing. I'm actually a member of ASCAP.
I was going to say that to you because not
everyone.
everyone is a member of Echo. Why not?
It's of your choice,
Your
really. I mean,
choice,
initially
okay.
you should look at your own performance rights agency in your country. But if you want to be part of something else, another agency, you just basically have to put it in writing that you prefer to be with ASCAP or BMI, or which are in the States, or PRS, or like.
Court in
But
Trinidad.
let me ask you
Trinidad.
another question. We have some other questions here, but why is it that many of our musicians are at the hotels doing a lot of hotel work as opposed to, I mean, you've got released an album, but a lot of artists and musicians, they don't have albums per se, but they're at the hotels.
Well, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of money also to put out an album, write and record music and put out an album. It really does. And you know, as a musician, as a working full-time year-round musician like I am, and like a lot of musicians, buddies of mine here, your daily bread is earned by performing in the hotels, playing either as a soloist or a trio or a full band, playing round the clock
Is
4 or
that
5
cost
nights a
effective
week.
having a full band? Aren't you better?
Well,
off just
in
being on
years
your
gone
own?
by, I'd say the True Tones and times like this, you know, a couple of decades ago, then it was more cost effective then than it is now, which is a bit ridiculous, really. And unfortunately, the hotels are cutting back, and entertainment is always one that they shave off the budget,
It's the first one to go.
Yeah, and therefore I mean, I would prefer to play every night of the week with my band if I could, but I could not be a full-time musician by doing that. You don't earn enough money.
You have to find a viable way to actually
Yeah,
make an
so
income.
I play a lot of solo gigs in the hotel, and I do a lot of weddings, and that's my daily bread. That's what has gained me my livelihood, if you like, and that's
The
what
bread
you,
and butter.
that's
How
what
do
you have to
people
do.
get to know about you if you are based in St Lucia? I mean, do you use the internet and
Of
so on?
course, yeah.
How does that work for you?
Yeah, well, over the years when I've
Can we just take this call,
Sure,
Rob?
yeah.
Hello, welcome to Dolor Factor Live.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Rob, how are you doing? This is Glenn. Carmy, nice to meet you.
Hi, Glenn, how you
Hi,
doing?
how are you?
Glenn Miller, I'm Marva's brother.
All right.
Yeah, I'm a musician myself too, and the most difficult thing about doing music here, I just say you have to be doing that kind of odd gigs, because right now, really and truly, if it wasn't for my barbering, which I do, I don't think I'd be able to really get my music out, which I'm just barely starting to scratch up the surface now. And I mean, I've been doing odd jobs and so on just to get into the music industry here, and it's what the most difficult part of it is that there's no pool for musicians that we can go there and say, okay, I'm a creative man, I would like to do that and create my own music, go in the studio. But to pay a studio man is another headache again for musicians.
Yes, yeah.
That's what Rob was saying. I think that's what Rob was trying to get at a while ago.
Sure.
And I wish something could be done so that musicians can say, okay, look, I have a project. Go to the bank. I have a project, and we are a member of this body, and I'd like you to give me a loan or whatever it is,
Right.
or a grant or whatever it is for musicians, because we can get St Lucia. We market. We're models for St Lucia. whether they like it or not.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great question, and it's a point that I wanted to raise actually tonight on it, where I think, you know, we just talked about the royalties and Echo and everything, and from my understanding of it, as I said, I'm not a member of Echo, but they collect a lot of money. There's a lot of money collected over the year from licenses within the hotels and shows that happen, and the radios,
and the radio stations,
and the jazz festival and everything. There's a lot of money collected. Now, a greater percentage of that money is sent back to PRS, which is the governing body of performance right agencies in the UK, as a foreign artist royalty. The monies that are due to Madonna and Beyonce and Bob Marley, who are foreign artists, that get sent back, which is great, and that should happen. And then money remains here for the local writers and musicians. I personally think that there should be a percentage of that money that should be kept here within a bank or an account that is therefore used as grant money for people like yourself, Glenn, and people like myself even, who are maybe registered with the CDF or something, that you can go to them and say, look, I have a project I want to do, I need $5,000 to be able to go and record this song or an album, and you can then go to the Echo Grant Fund, if you like, which is money that's put aside each year, because believe me, there's a lot of money collected, and that money, and it's all well and good, but there's no, they're not helping the music industry here to grow at all. And some of that money, I believe, should be put in a fund, like a grant fund, where it's accessible to people like yourself, people like myself, anybody else out there that are serious musicians and are proven pretty much serious musicians that can tap into that money and use it to help themselves grow as musicians and artists, and also the music industry here in St Lucia grow as well. And I would really like to see that happen. And unfortunately, because I'm not a member of Echo, the only voice I have is on forums like this right now, and I don't have a voice at Echo right now because I'm not a member, and I wish I did. And I think I could make a difference, and I think suggestions like this would make a valid difference in being able to make the music industry grow. You know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome,
Thank
Glenn.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you
Good
very
luck,
much,
man.
Glenn. And just to remind you, just got some closing moments in terms of if you want to win those CDs. But I want to go through some of the emails because we have tons of them here. Okay, Rob is such a great musician, but in St Lucia, such great people are never given recognition unless there is an occasion, and that's sad. That's very true. And a good example is what's going to be happening at the end of this month. Okay. Wendell says, I just want to say that St Lucian music has grown tremendously, and at times like this, I am even more proud to be St Lucian. Soca music has come a long way, and I think it is the best thing in the Caribbean right now. Cheers to all St Lucian artists. You guys are making us proud.
Thank you.
Really lovely. Okay, we're going to go for a break, but I've got a couple more, but as I said, in our last break now, last opportunity to send any emails, and when we come back, we're going to choose our winners. Thank you for watching Dolor Factor Live. Stay with us, we'll be right back.